enjoy that a lot better than the more impersonal way of just going up to people and blitzing them.
A murder out of Shelby County is a cold case Kentucky State Police hope you can help them solve.
It's been 15 years since Al Kite was tortured and brutally murdered.
He got off on causing and witnessing the pain and suffering of others.
Hello everyone, I'm Patrick Vallejos and welcome to the Sleuth Intuition channel. We have investigated hundreds of true crime cases, including unsolved murders and missing persons. Occasionally, we identify patterns in these lesser known cases. Serial killers often exhibit repetitive behaviors, so when I notice similarities among different cases, it's important for us to dig deeper. This is exactly what happened with Oakey, Kite, and Jim Duckett. Both men murdered 4 years apart under very similar circumstances. On May 25, 2004, 53-year-old Oakey Al Kite Jr. was murdered in Aurora, Colorado. He was bound and tortured before his death. The killer stole Al's truck and ATM card, withdrew the maximum amount of cash, and then abandoned the truck nearby. The only clues left behind were a drop of the killer's blood and security camera footage from the ATM, which showed a masked man driving Al's truck. Fast forward 4 years to November 2008, 1,000 miles east of Aurora, Colorado. 43-year-old Jim Duckett was murdered in Shelbyville, Kentucky, in a manner identical to that of Oakey Kite Jr. He was also bound and tortured. The killer took Jim's truck and ATM card, withdrew the maximum amount of cash, and then abandoned the truck nearby. The only clue left behind was some blurry security footage from the ATM, which showed a masked man driving Jim's truck. Both Al and Jim had girlfriends but lived alone, and their relationships were not very serious. Al became a target after he listed the basement bedroom of his townhouse for rent. Jim lived in a house owned by the church he worked for, which had a long history of previous tenants. It is possible that both Al and Jim were targeted by the same disturbed individual. Could it be that both men were chosen because of their similar circumstances? In today's video, I will present the facts of both cases and highlight their similarities. The question is, could we be dealing with a cunning serial killer? Let's begin with the murder of Oakey Al Kite Jr., which occurred on May 24, 2004. On May 24, 2004, the police in Aurora, Colorado were called to the home of Oakey Al Kite Jr., a local project manager. Kite, a 53-year-old divorced man living just a few miles outside of Denver, was reported missing by his co-workers at Carter Douglas after he failed to show up to the office that morning. What his co-workers didn't know was Kite was lying dead, face down, on the floor of his home. He had been tied up and tortured. The bottoms of his feet were in the air with the bindings. They were cut and bruised. The coroner felt the torture went on for several hours. Upstairs, the police found that the offender had placed several knives, a drinking glass, and a set of keys, items he had touched, into the kitchen sink, which had been filled with bleach. This action destroyed any DNA evidence from the attack. On the stairs leading down to the basement, authorities found a drop of blood belonging to the unknown male. The DNA sample was uploaded to the FBI's National Combined DNA Index system, but there have been no matches so far. Although the identity of Kite's killer remains unknown, the FBI considers a man using the alias Robert Cooper to be the primary suspect. On May 18th, just days before the murder, Kite met with Cooper, who had agreed to rent the basement of Kite's townhouse. Cooper paid Kite half of the month's rent along with the security deposit, and in return, Kite gave him a key to the basement. This key was later discovered in the kitchen sink, Cooper stood at 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighed 180 pounds, had black curly hair, and appeared to be between 30 and 40 years old. He was very well dressed, carried a cane in his right hand, and walked with a limp. Every piece of information that Cooper provided on the rental agreement was false. The social security number belonged to an 80-year-old woman from Indiana. The address was for an elementary school in Denver. And his reference phone number belonged to a retirement village in Aurora. Investigators examined Kite's phone records and discovered the cell phone Cooper had used was a burner phone purchased from a convenience store March of 2004. Notably, the suspect waited exactly 30 days to activate the phone, which was the same duration that the store retained its surveillance footage. As a result, the police had no way to identify who had bought the burner phone. Law enforcement discovered that Cooper had only used the phone to contact individuals who were renting property, which led investigators to believe he was searching for potential victims. This person killed Al for the thrill of committing homicide. It's almost as if he's seeking excitement. When the police entered Kite's townhouse, everything seemed normal on the upper level. However, upon reaching the basement, detectives encountered a horrible crime scene. The victim's wallet and cell phone were missing from the scene, but the cell phone was later found at a payphone booth. An unidentified man tried to use the victim's debit card at an ATM after the murder. Surveillance footage from the ATM captures a man wearing a ski mask driving the victim's pickup truck. This truck was later found near the victim's home. If you have any information about the murder of Oakey Al Kite, please contact Detective McDonald at the Aurora Police Department at 303-739-6013. After analyzing the details of the Oakey Al Kite case, let's now examine Jim Duckett's case. The similarities between the two cases are striking. Jim Duckett was found in his home in Shelbyville, Kentucky on Monday, November 10, 2008. His sister, Catherine Nichols, discovered his body tied to a dining room chair in the bathroom of his home located at 5300 Rock Ridge Road. The white bathroom walls painted red with Jim's blood. He was stabbed multiple times and his throat slashed. It was obvious he had been tortured. Investigators say it was around 11:25 a.m. that Monday when they got the call. Police had been looking for his truck, which was missing from his Shelby County home, but located it about 11:30 p.m. that Monday night. Here's a quick timeline of events. Friday, October 31st, 2008, 11:59 p.m. Jim's house is robbed on Halloween night, just 9 days before his murder. This could potentially be connected to Jim's death. Saturday, November 8th, 2008. Jim drops off Catherine at her house late Saturday afternoon. Sunday, November 9th, 2008, 12:15 a.m. Jim and his girlfriend have a phone conversation that lasts until between 12:15 and 12:30 a.m. Sunday, November 9, 2008, 3 a.m. Blurry ATM footage captures a suspect withdrawing money from Jim's account. Sunday, November 9, 2008, 8 p.m. Catherine and her husband Tony drive by Jim's house after hearing he missed church and no one has heard from him all day. They notice that Jim's truck is not in the driveway and look around the outside of the home before returning home. Monday, November 10, 2008, 11:25 a.m. Catherine enters Jim's house and calls 911 after discovering him in his bathroom tied to a chair and stabbed to death. Monday, November 10, 2008, 11:30 p.m. Jim's missing truck is found near downtown Shelbyville, close to his bank. Jim was an ex-military man who relocated to Shelbyville to be closer to Nichols and her family. In the days leading up to his death, she sensed something was off, but nothing particularly alarming occurred. A family friend reported that Duckett attended services at Rockbridge United Methodist Church every Sunday. Parishioners grew concerned when he failed to show up for the service. Jim lived directly across the street from that church. Duckett was a retired military veteran living on disability. His friends described him as a talented artist and chef, known for cooking meals for fellow church members. Grainy surveillance video released by the Kentucky State Police may help crack the case. It captures someone driving Duckett's pickup truck to a Fifth Third bank in Shelbyville shortly after the murder, and using his ATM card to withdraw cash. The murderers who killed Jim took a trophy. The trophy was something that belonged to Jim's father. The family has established a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction, which still stands. If you have any information regarding Duckett's murder, please call the Kentucky State Police at 502-227-2221. Oakey, Kite Jr., and Jim Duckett both deserve justice. Is it possible the same man is responsible for taking the lives of two innocent men just 4 years apart? Both men lived alone. Both men were bound and tortured. ATM and vehicle were taken in both cases. I will let you decide. Thank you for tuning in to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and I'll catch you on the flip side.